Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Wheel of Movies here on the Movie Hero Network. This is episode number 6. We are doing another deep dive, a little hour-long deep dive into one of our favorite movies of one of our people here in the community. This one, we pulled another kind of quick audible just in honor of a guy we're all a big fan of, Paul Reubens. So tonight we're doing Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Unfortunately, obviously, Paul Reubens passed away, so we wanted to honor him here on the Wheel of Movies. And we're still not cheating because the movie is on our massive wheel of 1,300 movies. And speaking of, I am not here alone for this tribute tonight. I'll bring in first the guy who it is in his 128, and so he's here to talk about it, Mr. Brian Nussbaum. How's it going, Brian?
Good, you right there. My favorite
Yeah.
films. My second favorite Tim Burton movie out there.
Yeah, no, it's a good one, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, his first feature film, so we'll get into that here in just a second. And yeah, we also have as our third guest this evening, Malcolm Lay. Malcolm Lay, what's going on, man?
It's going good. And yeah, I was hoping you'd play the clip of the promo between Pee Wee Herman and the Miz, but that's all good.
Yes.
Well, no, there's plenty of clips to play from because yeah, Paul Reubens was he was a big WWE fan, and yeah, he hosted Monday Night Raw once as a celebrity guest host, and he made some other appearances kind of around the time. Yeah, Pee Wee's Big Holiday was coming out, and he was kind of on a promotional tour. Yeah, he's a big wrestling fan, so I always appreciated about him. I know he enjoyed that. But yeah, we're here to talk about Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Yeah, from 1985, directed by Tim Burton. And yeah, just a quick little couple of things about the movie. So yeah, like you said, Tim Burton, coming off. Just really some short films. He did done the Frank Marini short. He done a lot of stop motion shorts. He got a chance to kind of direct this movie with Paul Reubens starring, who he was a friend with. And yeah, it's one of those things where it ended up being kind of a cult favorite, but it ended up being kind of a sleeper hit at the time. $6 million budget this movie was made for, relatively small for the time, but made $41 million, and then allowed him obviously to keep going and do another movie. So just his next two, he went on to do Beetlejuice, as we all know, $15 million budget, a little bit more, but made 75 million, another hit for the studio. And then his third one of the biggest of all time. Yeah, he directs Batman '89, $35 million budget, grosses $411 million, and I believe the second top grossing movie of that year. So Tim Burton shooting to the stars relatively quickly within a couple of years. But yeah, Paul Reubens is Pee Wee Herman. Right after this movie, obviously getting Pee Wee's Playhouse, a very successful children's show. He gets a sequel with Big Top Pee Wee, and yeah, it kind of becomes a franchise on its own. So, but we're here to talk about the 1985 feature film Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and yeah, we'll kind of maybe start by going around the horn and getting everybody's kind of brief history with the movie. Maybe the first time you ever came to it, if you can remember, or just how it became one of your favorite films in Brian's case. So Brian, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, I first saw this film, I believe in 2004, I believe. I was a young person then, discovered the film on TV, and the humor was great. Loved the different segments he showed up to, like the Alamo, showing to Francis' house with from Faster Tour to Naka. I discovered.
Yeah,
Um,
no, from the Running Man, and he's in Three Ninjas. Yeah, he's in a bunch of movies around this time. Yeah, he's
yeah,
kind of a
so
familiar
so
face.
there's some great moments in there. The whole bike chase at the end is really great to Warner Brothers, and yeah, and I did rewatch it a few days ago. It still holds up to this day.
Yeah, for sure. Malcolm, I know you said you kind of want to be on here, so you'd give you a reason to revisit the film. So, when was the first time you actually visited the film, and how was your rewatch this time?
I honestly don't remember the first time I sort of visited um, the movie. I think I just caught it on TV one time, and but I remember sort of like I'm not as high on the movie as other people, but did still we enjoyed it. I literally just finished sort of rewatching it just before we got on here.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but it's just one of those ones like I've been meaning to revisit it for ages, like and yeah,
No, totally. Yeah, with me, I think, yeah, I'm sure I rented it from Blockbuster when I was a kid, and I know it popped up on cable pretty frequently, so I used to watch it. Usually, I would always miss the beginning, which is one of my favorite sequences with the him just kind of goofing around his house for the first 10 minutes or so, and that was always one of my favorite things. But I would always kind of somehow turn on the movie when he was either right when he was getting his bike stolen or when he was going after Francis at the house, things like that, and or halfway through the movie in the Alamo or something. So it took me a while to kind of sit down and watch it all the way through. But this is one I've gone back to a lot. I wouldn't say it's like in my top 100 or anything like that, but it's always been a movie I've really enjoyed, and I had a good time revisiting this one. So we can kind of just start talking about it. So this movie truly, when you watch it all the way through and you realize this, it's pretty much just a live action cartoon kind of come to life, because everything's sort of got a fantastical element to it. There's not a lot of things explained transition wise, like how we get to kind of one area to another, where we sort of start, where we finish. It's all just like, you're not really supposed to harp on these kind of things. It's just kind of that cartoon logic. We're just kind of bouncing around, having a good time. There's a lot of big characters, big set pieces, a lot of silly ideas here. The basic plot is that Pee-wee has a bike that he loves very, very much, as we kind of saw, obviously here, in the picture. He's got this very fantastical bike that it's like his most treasured possession. Again, I don't know who built the bike or how or where he got it. He just kind of has it, and he just roll with it. We don't know what his job is, what he does for income. He just is Pee-wee. He lives in his own universe, and that's kind of one of the fun things. We jump into this movie in his house and everything, and we're just in this world, and you're just kind of along with him. But Brian, what do you think of like this whole opening sequence, as far as like we're going around this house? He's got all these Rube Goldberg ways of making breakfast, making the breakfast machines, and he feeds his dog and all this stuff. What do you think of this set and all this kind of stuff?
It's actually a great score, actually, when you think of it. The whole Rube Goldberg type thing is great. Him getting ready, putting tape on his face as hello or something. Some great moments, and also we're cameo by his neighbor, who never shows up ever again, by Mr. Crabtree.
Yeah, I'm gonna water my lawn now. Okay, Pee-wee. Yeah, no, that guy never comes back. We're just gonna see him again. People kind of let Pee-wee sort of exist in his own universe.
Yes.
But yeah, you mentioned the score. Yeah, we should mention Danny Elfman, who I believe this is only his second film he had ever scored, and it's kind of amazing when you sit here and listen to it. I know the DVD and the Blu-ray have like these isolated tracks where you can just listen to the score, and it's really great. And it's hard to believe this is only his second score, because it's very professional. It's very memorable. It feels like a Funhouse kind of come to life.
Yes.
It's got that Funhouse quality. Yeah, some of my favorite music in the movie is during that whole breakfast sequence, the dun, 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 and it kind of sets the tempo for a lot of music we would hear in other Tim Burton films. It's got that quality to it. But Malcolm, what do you think of this whole world they kind of set up here, and this all these sequences and things kind of at the beginning of this movie?
I mean, the 80s were just really good, like putting in these Rube Goldberg machines, and so I'm pretty sure they have something similar in Back to the Future as well.
No, Back to the Future, opens with one. Yeah, also in 85. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of other movies that did that. I just can't think of any other ones examples at the moment. But
Ernest had his own in Ernest Goes to Jail as well. We go into his house in that movie, and he has kind of a way that everything kind of runs and is automated, and he dealt with that a lot at the same time period too. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a fun opening sequence. Just one of those ones that like really sort of shows sort of what kind of person Pee-wee is, and just it just shows all the wacky and stuff, elements and stuff.
Yeah, and apparently when he wakes up, he's wide awake. He doesn't need morning coffee or anything. He pops right out of bed. He's playing with his toys. He's sliding down the fire pole. Fire pole, yeah. He's got a Batman 66 fire pole that puts his clothes on for him, apparently. Again, it's all this fantastical cartoony kind of stuff, you just sort of roll with it. It's like, oh, how did it doesn't matter. You just kind of roll with the movie, kind of
And
Looney
also has
Tunes style.
fish as well, his washroom as well for some reason.
That's right. Yeah. No, he's instead of a window, he's just got fish. Yeah, he's got a little cute dog named Speck. And yeah, it's just a fun little sequence. We had a great set design. As always, it just feels like a carnival kind of inside this house. I noticed that Pee Wee doesn't eat much. He makes a fantastical breakfast and he eats 3 bites of Mr. T cereal and then just moves right along. I was like, Pee Wee, you got some delicious looking pancakes and bacon there. And you just left it right on that. It's the thing in movies I hate when there's like a giant breakfast, laid out and then people just take a bite of it and leave. I don't know. That always bugged me in movies because I'm a big breakfast guy. But yeah, we kind of get introduced to this world. We get introduced to, again, his bike. He's got this security system, in this thing. He's got to punch in codes and pull tree branches and open this thing up, and he has all these features on it. We kind of see throughout the movie. So he's got speakers and he's got jetpacks and ejector seats and false handles and everything in between. And it obviously becomes kind of the MacGuffin of the movie. But pretty soon we get introduced to, well, it's hard to call him like the villain of the movie because he's really only in the beginning and the end, and we don't really see much of him in the interim. But Francis, kind of the and we'll just call him sort of an antagonist. Mark Holton, probably still his best known role to this day as Francis, even though we've seen him in. He's in A League of Their Own. He's in Leprechaun. He's in Naked Gun. He's the Enrico Palazzo guy. He's showed up a lot. He's very recognizable, but. He's just hateable from the start. Good morning, Pee Wee.
Morning, Francis.
Yeah, this guy is trouble. But Brian, what do you think of Francis and Mark Holton's performance throughout this movie?
I love that they're back and forth together when they first meet each other. Says, "No, I want a new brain. No, your bike.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to reason." So great back and forth moments, and also love when he goes to his house and he actually jowls him in this whole big street pool or bath, let's call it.
Yeah.
And it's weird how he got all which is famous toward the end where he stole his bike for some reason, taking credit.
Yeah, no, he's taking credit for getting his bike or just having the idea for the movie. I don't know what he's taking credit for, as far as like, oh, it was my idea for you to go on this adventure or something. It's kind of vague. It's like, I don't know how he obviously he just, his dad or somebody knows people, maybe in the media or something. We never really find out what his dad kind of does for a living. We just know he lives in a big mansion and he's rich, and he's got a rich daddy. But yes, his bath, so to speak, is just an indoor pool. He's going down for his bath. But Malcolm, what do you think of Mark Holton as Francis? I think he's a lot of fun in this movie for as much as we see him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those ones like he's one of those characters which you just sometimes you got no idea if you really hate him. It's like, or it's just too ridiculous. It just so. But I was like, I don't think it was ever explained why Francis specifically wants Peary's bike.
Yeah. Well, it's not really explained. Like, couldn't he just hire somebody to build a bike that's just as good as that one? I mean, he seems to have all the money in the world, or his dad seems to be, a gigantic multimillionaire. So, they could hire an engineer to take a look at it and just figure it out. Like, he doesn't need to steal it. I don't think they can just make a bike. It's kind of silly, but needless to say, Pee Wee won't sell it for a quadrillion dollars, and yeah, so we kind of introduce a few other characters here as he heads into town. We get E.G. Daily as Dottie, who's kind of again, love interest is a loose word. She has an interest in Pee Wee, but Pee Wee seems kind of disinterested. Pee Wee seems kind of this asexual person who has no interest in any kind of relationship, but she kind of is E.G. Daily, who would go on to probably most famously voice Tommy Pickles in Rugrats. And be a prominent voice actress. But yeah, she was in a lot of movies in the 80s. But yeah, they kind of have a pseudo sort of relationship. I love the Mario's magic sequence in the
Same
store
here.
when again some of the best moments are when he's just kind of goofing around and just playing with stuff, and the whole sequence where he's playing with the ear, what what, and playing with all all the little magic tricks and all the stuff, and he buys some trick gum and all that. Again, just good little things throughout the movie. And he gets his bike stolen in the process, even after wrapping it up with about a mile worth of chain. That scene comes out of nowhere in sort of a Mary Poppins style, endless chain thing on the back of his bike. But yeah, he gets his bike stolen. And thinks it's Francis, but yeah, I love this whole sequence where he goes after Francis, like you said, in the bath, so to speak. It's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I don't know. What do you guys think about this whole stolen bike sequence and him trying to figure it out?
I actually
Right.
like the Mario sequence where he goes to the magic shop and says, "How is school, buddy? Closed."
Yeah.
The whole different stuff Mario brings out, like headlight glasses, blue eye bow tie, fake blood. For some reason, he has different type of heads for some weird reason.
Gigantic and a real size head. Yeah, no, that stuff is fun. Again, the prop design is always fun, and just
Yes,
kind of this goofy, cartoony world he lives in. Yeah, and again, he kind of goes after Francis. We get a little bit of, like you said, Professor Toru Tanaka as sort of their, I don't know, butler, bodyguard. What is he? I don't know. I mean, it seems kind of a gigantic dude to be a butler.
yep.
I mean, he's got to be like a bodyguard type guy. But and then we get Mr. Buxton, who again just spoils this grown man rotten. Who seems like he's probably at least in his 30s, treating him like a 4-year-old. Oh, we've been setting up his train set all day. Like, what are you, 5? What are you, 5? But yeah, it's just silly. But yeah, that's kind of the catalyst and sort of the end of the first act, because Pee Wee's gotta find his bike, and we all suspected that Francis has something to do with it, but it's kind of confirmed later when he's paying the guy to. Well, then it's like, you already stole it, so you might as well keep it, right? But like, he gets rid of
Exactly.
it just as quickly, and just okay, get rid of it. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this. Okay, well, why'd you steal it in the first place? But all right, he obviously was going to suspect you given the interaction you had that morning. But yeah, it's we kind of yeah, it gets to Madame Ruby, and obviously we get the sort of Alamo basement hint that she just takes his money and bullshits her way
And the
basically
wallet.
through the thing. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, also that scene, you get a quick camera by Tim Burton out the guy in the alleyways, and we don't take kindly to
You're
your
around
line.
here. Yeah,
Yep, and also, yes, I love his reaction to it. Let me take your coat. Like he growls at him,
yeah,
at her for some reason, and yeah, it's great sequence there. You would love the whole Town Me or something where he try to find like
and
and
knitting
the quick
and
cameo
knitting.
by Amazing Larry there.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good stuff. Pee Wee's losing his mind a little bit, and then yeah, we're off to the main kind of portion of the movie, which is the road trip. He's off to Texas. He's off to the Alamo, and yeah, we get a little thing of him trying to hitchhike, and we meet kind of our next. Main character Judd Omen playing Mickey, the convict, the fugitive, who kind of gives him his first ride. What'd you guys think of Mickey? Malcolm, what you think of
Yeah.
Mickey in this whole sequence with their little exploits?
Um, yeah, I mean, this is just one of those characters which think is just really entertaining, and I think just one of those ones that I think felt like it could have been like someone who would have been a regular on the Pee Herman show at one point, but it's like,
Oh,
um,
let's go visit Mickey the fugitive in jail this week.
Or his pen pal for around the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, maybe he could be a pen pal or something. Yeah, it feels like maybe. I don't know. Yeah, having a fugitive on the children's show might be a little much, but yeah, he kind of feels still like he's ripped out of this world, and yeah, I almost forget how kind of quickly he kind of comes and goes in the movie, because yeah, he picks him up. They have the kind of sequence where they go through the checkpoint, and Pee Wee kind of dresses up as a woman and plays off the cops, and then yeah, before you know it, they're driving. They drive off a cliff cartoonishly, and pull the parachute sort of convertible thing, and Mickey ditches him, and that's it. But yeah, it's kind of over before you know it. But yeah, Brian, what you think of this whole Mickey sequence.
Yeah, I agree with Malcolm. Like, this sequence is actually one of my favorite parts of the film, especially when he tricks the officer, where he just take a picture, will last longer. I just want to see the pretty little outfit out there.
Yeah.
You know why when the prison I cut off those tags that do not pull from the beds,
Hmm.
and a great little sequence there.
Yeah. I think he was hiding what he actually did because I don't think you go to prison, hard prison, for pulling those tags off. I think he was trying to hide what he actually, he didn't want to. I did notice something as an adult now that after he puts on the woman outfit and he's kind of sitting there, after they go through the thing, Mickey kind of gives him this weird side eye, like he's like getting sweet on him. It's like it's a very strange little look he kind of gives him. This
I
little
also
smirk.
forgot to mention, like, Ron Driver, he notices Spike on the other side. How can he didn't even notice it?
Well, that's the thing about the movies. You just miss it right,
Yes.
right out of your vision there. And yes, they drive off in the wrong direction. And yeah, we get another probably one of the more famous sequences at night. We get the large Marge sequence that is very traumatic for a lot of people seeing this as a child. The large Marge reveal. And I had a little quick fact about the large Marge sequence when they actually do the thing where she pops her face out, the stop motion, like that whole thing. That animation was done by the Kyoto brothers, who went on to direct and do the special effects for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, one of my favorite movies.
Interesting.
So yeah, they kind of helped out with that sequence. But yeah, what do you guys think of this whole large March sequence? And it's pretty famous at this point. Most people know this, even if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably seen the sequence. Yeah.
Yeah, Malcolm, you want to take this one?
Yeah,
You
Malcolm.
can go first.
Okay. Yeah, this is a quick little sequence. She just telling the story to PV on her way. And then like he just gets off and says, tell Large Bar said it's actually a ghost or something.
Hmm. Yeah, no, she's definitely like a ghost or some kind of thing. A ghost who can just still drive a full truck, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that still works. Where the truck comes from, But I did see another thing that said Alice Nunn, who plays Large Marge, doesn't blink for the entire sequence, if you notice. So she's got those non-blinking ghost eyes.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I remember the first time I saw this. For the longest time, I'd convinced myself that it was Kathy Bates playing Large.
It could be. It's very similar. I mean, if you put some
Sort of.
kooky Bride of Frankenstein hair on Kathy Bates or something, yeah, it could work for sure. But yeah, Large Marge, yeah, she's great in the little role that she does. I love Pee Wee's kind of slow, horrified face as she's telling the story. It's getting more like, he's kind of ducking off, and yeah, we get the reveal that she was probably a ghost, and she was actually the victim of the car accident, the worst accident they ever seen, as they put it. And yeah, he stops off at a truck stop, and we meet Simone, kind of one of our other characters. We kind of see throughout the movie. And Simone is, I have it right here for a second. Sorry.
Diane Salinger.
Diane Salinger, yeah, who plays Simone, this waitress here, and who they would reunite. Another little fun fact in the opening of Batman Returns, as kind of the parents of the Penguin. It's both Paul Reubens and Diane Salinger playing those parents. Yeah, we meet Simone, who has dreams of, for just whatever reason, she wants to go live in France. Just be French, I guess.
Her lumberjack boyfriend.
Yeah, and she's gonna leave Andy. But yeah, Brian, what do you think of Simone and this whole thing? Because it kind of starts as maybe like sort of a romantic thing, but then you find out it's not. She just kind of needs somebody to give her a friendly kind of push in the right direction. But yeah, what do you think of Simone?
Yeah, I actually quite enjoy this moment. It's like a quick little romantic type sequence. She's nice to Pee Wee. Probably pay her his dinner that he had to walk the dishes for.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the sequence where the whole dinosaur sequence to watch the sunset. And also another fun fact there, we united Pee Wee's big holiday actually. Diane Salinger and Paul Reubens.
Yeah. She's in there for a minute for a cameo. But yeah, Malcolm, what do you think of Simone here in this little kind of subplot about her going off to France? Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a real interesting subplot, especially with this one. It kind of to bring another sort of connection here. Like it kind of feels like Perry's like playing this parody version of Fred Rogers, but a little bit like the whole
Yeah.
encouraging to go do follow your dreams and all that.
Yeah, no, they definitely established it as kind of just a friendly thing where he kind of gives her a little motivational push. And yeah, I meant to look up the guy. His name's John Harris, who plays Andy. Yeah, giant Andy. I don't know if he's that big or if Paul Reubens is just that small, because I know Paul Reubens is not a big person in general. He's like 5'5", 5'6". He's not a big guy, so maybe he's just kind of a 6'2" sort of guy. But he really hasn't done any other movies. But apparently he was a wrestler. So I mean, it makes sense.
A
Hello,
wrestler.
Sam.
He looks like a wrestler, not a very famous wrestler, but he was in the AWA for a little while. But yeah, he's a wrestler. He's a big dude. So they have a couple little mini chases. Kind of he pops up in and out, kind of throughout the movie, chasing Pee Wee around. But he is able to. Again, we don't really know where we are at this point. That's again, there's a lot of location things where it's like I don't even know where we start in the movie. Like where Pee Wee's living, like what state or where, I don't know. We just kind of he gets dropped off here. He's somewhere. There's mountains in the background, and then he hops a train, and we're off to, and he ends up in Texas. Yeah, exactly where he needs to end up. Yeah, he jumps off the train, yeah, with a hobo right in front of San Antonio. But of course it is. But yeah, he meets Hobo Jack, played by Carmen Philippi, and yeah, he. I think I would get sick of this guy singing as well. Like
Yeah,
he's a
same
little
here.
he's a little
Bad
too
boy, a little bit.
over enthusiastic with his singing. It's like, why don't you relax, bro? Let's just enjoy the scenery. But yeah, Brian would about Hobo Jack here.
Yeah, he was just okay. Not by these over these parts of the film. I sort of got annoyed with him, as you said, with singing, and didn't really tell us about him, about where he's going, doesn't tell us anywhere.
Yeah, no, he's just kind of there, and I guess he at least let Pee Wee sleep for a little while. He has
Yes.
like we should say he kind of has these recurring nightmares throughout the film about his bike. Once it gets stolen, we get the
Dinosaur.
yeah, there's a dinosaur sequence where there's like a stop motion dinosaur that eats his bike, and then later on, yeah, it wasn't so much for me the Large Marge reveal sequence that kind of freaked me out as a kid. It was the and again, not so much the clowns in the clown sequence where they're doing the surgery on the bike. It was the actual main surgeon who pulls off the surgical mask and has like the makeup on his face with like the creepy smile and the teeth and
Yes.
stuff. It's that guy, like the reveal of that, and he kind of has this like crazy laugh or whatever. But yeah, he's having these kind of nightmares. But again, some of the more creative sequences for the budget, throughout the film and kind of the set designs of all that stuff and what they're able to do with that. But Malcolm, any thoughts of the kind of train hobo sequence or any of this kind of stuff or these dream sequences? Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones like, especially in the 80s when you don't have a big budget. It's like there's a lot of movies that have done this in the past. Like, let's do like stop motion sequence to kind of because we can't afford a lot of CGI and stuff. So like do all this stop motion stuff because it's cheap to do, like, and quick to animate. So I think back in the days, like I think doing that kind of thing is a fun way to do it, especially if you don't have much money. Because nowadays, if they did this now, like you just know that just will do it with special CGI. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it gives it a kind of a uniqueness, especially
Yeah.
with the Large March sequence. Maybe why it freaks people out because it's like with the stop motion, they're able to like bulge the eyes out and like the mouth kind of opens up, and you see a lot more of this in Beetlejuice, obviously with some of the the creature effects in that movie. We go on to see a lot of that, but yeah, I mean it was Tim Burton's forte, doing all this stop motion kind of stuff, and it's fun. And again, even in the context of the movie, it makes sense. Large March is a ghost; she can look like whatever she wants to in that sequence. The dinosaur is in a dream sequence, so it can look like whatever it wants to look like. Like it doesn't have to look amazing. It can just be him getting freaked out by sort of a cartoon dinosaur. And yeah, in the clown sort of mime sequence, it's all just them in makeup. So that's kind of fun, and just these very simple but sort of creepy hallway sets and low lighting, surgery sets and things like that. So I think it still gives it a unique hook, and the music in those sequences is fun too. The kind of
I
darker,
agree.
more nightmare, dun 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 dun. It's very creepy. But he gets to the Alamo, and a quick little fun fact again that I found that apparently the people who run the tours at the actual Alamo, the real company, says not a single day goes by where somebody doesn't ask about the basement in the Alamo, and shows you the effects of this film. That not a day goes by where one of the tour guys isn't asked about it. But we get Jan Hooks from SNL playing Tina, the tour guide, and apparently I read somewhere that she improvised a lot of her dialogue. And she had kind of had a few of these little fun facts and then improvised a lot of the in-between stuff. The we make tortillas and the adobe, and all this kind of stuff. And I like the little line she has where she goes, corn has thousands of uses, all of which I will tell you about right now. And I just thought that was a fun little side sequence. But he asked about the basement, and well, there's no basement at the Alamo, silly. But yeah, what do you guys think about this Alamo sort of reveal and sequence?
Yeah, you sort of feel bad for Pee Wee a little bit after being laughed at by the whole tour group for not discovering the no basement in the Alamo, and ever since like he called Donnie afterwards, I have the theme song stuck in my head. I'm sorry that night, being by deep in the heart of Texas.
Mm-hmm. Deep in the heart of Texas. Yeah, Malcolm. Do you remember the Alamo and what you thought of this sequence?
I mean, I don't remember the actual Alamo, but this Alamo sequence was fun. And it's just especially with when but it's just one of those ones it's made me realize there's at least two people who got famous later on by appearing on The Simpsons as well, because Jan Hooks has played Manjula in The Simpsons. But you also got Phil Hartman popping up in here somewhere as well.
Yeah, no, he was Paul Reubens was in the Groundlings with both Phil Hartman and Jan Hooks.
Yeah, they're both buddies.
Yeah, Groundlings and Second City and those improv troops that kind of a lot of those people that start there kind of end up on SNL. Pee Wee made a couple of appearances here and there on SNL, and obviously Phil Hartman and Jan Hooks went on to become full-time cast members for their respective years. But no, you get a little.
Phil Hartman became famous on Pee Wee's Playhouse for playing Captain Carl.
Yeah, no, definitely, and and then we should obviously Lawrence Fishburne showed up on Pee Wee's Playhouse as well as Cowboy Curtis, which is always fun. But yeah, we get that sequence. We get he's running around. Andy finds him again, before he's able to get on a bus and get back home. We get sort of the rodeo sequence with him setting a new world record on the rodeo inadvertently, and then and I can't remember which is the. So we get that he's
biker
all right.
bar, I think is after.
Yeah, that's right. We get to the biker bar and the tequila sequence. Yeah, the kind of another famous sequence of his very unique dancing on the bar of the tequila. But it also has one of my favorite lines in this biker sequence where Pee Wee's trying to make a quick phone call. And he just goes, "Shh, I'm trying to use the phone." And they don't take kindly to that at the biker bar. But Brian, what do you think of this whole tequila, pretty famous dancing sequence here?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, this sequence. Also, a lot of quick hammer by Elvira and Doug Casady Pearson at the head of the biker bar.
Mm-hmm.
I say we whip him. I say we let him go.
Yeah.
It's a little fun sequence, and for somebody to be respected by the bikers, getting the head bike, I think, afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of fun, this sequence.
Yeah, for sure, Malcolm. This is a pretty famous dance. I'm sure even if people haven't seen this movie, they're probably familiar with this tequila dance, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just love the fact that of all the songs to win bikers over, it just happened to be the song Tequila.
Well, it was available on the jukebox, you got to make a quick decision.
Yes.
If you're going to go with something, go with tequila. Which is, by the way, if anybody, I've seen Reddit threads about all right, so you have to nail every word to a song, and you win like $1 million. What do you do? Well, the answer is tequila because it's only one word, and you'll have to say it like 4 times. So that's the correct answer. Just fun.
No, the Crazy Frog actually would probably be better because there's no words.
Well, I think if you have to one that has at least some lyrics, you go with tequila because there's one lyric and it's one word, just a couple of times. But yeah, Pee Wee gets hurt trying to take off on the bike as as he would, because he keeps referring to his bike, and I think obviously the motorcycle guys think he's referring to a motorcycle, not an actual literal bicycle. But he goes to the hospital. That's where he has the clown dream sequence. But he wakes up and sees a sort of entertainment story about we get Jason Hervey as Kevin Morton, this kind of precocious child actor, who's a dick on set, as some of these child actors know to be. Yeah, there's Jason Hervey, who I always kind of like, I see it and then I always forget who what other movies he's in. I'm like, oh yeah, he's in Back to the Future the same year. He's one of the kids in the 50s sequence.
Okay.
He's the one who does the line. He's like, rerun. What's a rerun?
Oh, that's who it was.
David Hervey.
Okay.
Yeah, that's him. And then he went on to be on the Wonder Years for a number of years. So he kind of was a real life child actor as well. Jason Hervey was. But yeah, so he kind of figures out that he needs to get to the Warner Brothers lot because he's filming a movie. He sees the bike on TV that they're going to use in the movie, and so yeah, we're kind of off again. And yeah, this whole sequence, you have to wonder if Kevin Smith was like a fan of this movie, because I feel like the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back sequence where they're running around the back lot is kind of taken a lot from this sequence, because I think both sequences you play them back to back. I think they're very, very similar. But yeah, what do you think about this whole like thing where he gets to the Warner Brothers lot, Brian? It's a lot of fun where he's kind of asking everybody where where he is, and all the different people in the outfits and stuff.
Yeah, of all the famous people there, he followed Milton Berle for some reason. I guess he's pretty big in Warner at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, quick, like in that sequence, you can see was the people who played John Peregrine as the high-pitched soldier guy, and when he gets into set, you see Missy Vaughn and Marie Stewart as one of the nuns.
Yeah, no, she's Missy Vaughn was one of the nuns in there. Yeah, he kind of sneaks his way onto the set there. But yeah, I mean, Malcolm, were you the ones who likes Jay and Bob as much as me, or was that somebody else on here? But yeah,
JPO, I think.
Yeah, JPO, I know is a big fan. But yeah, this whole sequence reminds me a lot of that.
I mean, I love the Jay and Silent Bob movies as well.
Yeah,
and yeah, this did kind of feel like one of those sequences. I'm almost certain, like unless he proves us wrong and says it in an interview, I'm almost certain Kevin Smith used this as inspiration for whenever he has like big chase scenes and Comic Cons or stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
I think it's definitely I mean, I love the scene. I kind of wish they'd like thrown quick like references to other like movies that would have been made around that in that time period, just quickly, but whether or not they couldn't do it or they just didn't want to, I don't know. It would have been fun just randomly show them filming like Back to the Future or something, just having them running through that set or something.
Yeah, no, we get a few glimpses of things. Obviously, as a Godzilla fan, I appreciate that he kind of rolls through a Godzilla, sort of set sequence. Although, again, I don't know what year the movie is supposed to be set. It's kind of a timeless movie where you don't really know for sure. But the way that it's being filmed, it seems like this is one of the late 60s, early 70s Godzilla movies, kind of like Godzilla on Monster Island or something like that. It certainly isn't the 85 start of the Heisei era Godzilla of Godzilla 1985, which those movies look much different than this Godzilla movie with the kind of 70s looking Godzilla. But I certainly appreciated that as a Godzilla fan. Yeah, he rolls through like a beach blanket bingo type like beach movie. Like
a Christmas movie too.
Well, yeah, there hasn't been like a beach movie like that since the 50s. So again, it kind of gives this weird quality of like, I don't know when this movie is taking place. Yeah, because they don't make movies like that anymore where people are just dancing on a beach. Yeah, go ahead, Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean, I know some stages do see the band Twisted Sister.
Yeah, that's why it's like it's weird because they're making like 60s beach movies, but they're also making Twisted Sister videos that he rolls through.
And a Christmas movie too, like you see him pass through the Christmas ad says Merry Christmas.
Yeah, but what kind of Christmas movie is that? Is that Santa Claus Conquers the Martians? Like I don't know what's going on there either.
Yeah. But the guy that was in the Godzilla suit is a is an American special effects artist called Cleve Hall, who's also created sort of props for the bands Kiss, Insane Clown Posse, and Alice Cooper.
Oh, okay, well that makes sense. So he slides
Yeah.
right into that era of stuff in the metal. Yeah, I like the twisted secret sequence. Yeah, because I've met Dee Snider at a convention. He was very cool. I got a picture with him. He's a good dude. He had one or two screenshots from this movie on here from when Pee Wee kind of
Okay.
the whole thing that you can get signed. So that's fun. Yeah, yeah, again, kind of a chase sequence. He's being chased by all the different golf carts and such, and uses some of his bike features to get away. You know, he's got like a jetpack. Again, it reminds me of the same thing. He kind of hits the jetpack. He like jumps the thing. Same as when Jay and Silent Bob kind of take a jump on their bike. You know, James Van Der Beek's that. Yeah, you have to think Jay and Silent Bob was inspired by this. Like you have to think that Kevin Smith.
I think so.
Yeah, it's so similar. But yeah, so Pee Wee is able to kind of temporarily get away, and then we get this. It just goes to my cartoon theory. It's this very thing that doesn't have a whole lot to do with the movie, where he just all of a sudden is saving pets from a pet store. It's just kind of out of nowhere. It's like he kind of gets away. You think he'd have a minute to just reflect and chill and, you know, say hello to his bicycle, but he's all of a sudden saving pets out of the pet store. But Brian, yeah, with this pet store sequence.
Yeah, I think it's same reaction to Indiana Jones with snakes. How he gets scared, he doesn't like snakes for some reason. Like, and once he rescues it, he falls down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I read that Paul Reubens was actually scared of snakes, so he did not actually like holding they were real snakes he had to pull out, you know, the big handfuls before he passes out there. But yeah, Malcolm, I figured you might agree with it. I think the sequence kind of comes out of nowhere, but it's strange. But it's weird. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it just it's one of those ones that does like comes out of nowhere, but it's like it's just a lot of wacky fun that Harry Herman is known for.
Oh yeah, no, totally. But yeah, he kind of gets they kind of bring him in. The authorities kind of catch up to him, but he meets with the head of Warner Brothers, and much like we've seen recently, hey, you got a true story, sounds like fun, let's make a movie out of it. So, and they apparently make this movie pretty damn quickly, because it almost seems like a month later there's a movie premiering at the drive-in of this thing. I mean, I don't know how quickly they turned this thing around, but yeah, we get the fun thing where you know, we get to the drive-in and we kind of have this parade of the characters we've sort of met throughout the movie. You know, we get the bikers, we get Hobo Jack and his kind of friends. We get Simone, and I guess she's got a new man friend. You know, she's found in France. Gives him the French fries, and we get Mickey. Tries to slip Mickey a saw blade inside of his footlong. You know, that's fun. Tries to break him out. Nice try, baby. You know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we get this. We get to see a few glimpses of this movie. Pee Wee is a very bad extra in the movie. He's a pretty terrible extra. Like, you see all these stories about, hey, look at this extra in this scene of this movie or whatever. Yeah, he's just kind of always peeking into the scene and like not looking away or doing other things like he's supposed to be doing. He's just kind of standing. He's a bad actor within the movie. Pee Wee Herman is. But yeah, this kind of fictional sequence with Morgan Fairchild and James Brolin as P.W. Herman, sort of this James Bond type thing. Yeah, I mean, you almost wish you could see a full movie of this, because I think it's a fun sort of movie within the movie.
I
with
agree.
James Brolin. But yeah, what do you guys think about this whole thing and them turning it into a movie and all that?
Yeah, it's weird how Pee Wee's bounty dubbed in the film says, "Pagey, Mr. Herman, Mr. Herman, you call."
Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk.
Yeah, I actually agree. It's like a weird action. How his story became the action movie was more like a cartoonish movie in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And love seeing the Fastest Revenge. Like he gets on the bike and he floats up to the air.
Yeah, ejector seats him out of the bike, up into the air somehow. And I guess Francis is dead after that, so I guess he just died. But yeah, Malcolm, what about this whole drive-in sequence and this little glimpses at the movie with P.W. Herman and James Brolin? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ultimately, I think it's one of those ones that I think, because I think it's I like a lot of the other times where they have like a actual movie based on the events of the movie. Like they want to make the movie somewhat totally different to what the actual movie was. So I think it makes sense that for this, they would make the actual movie at the end like some like in a James Bond type action movie. It's like, and I mean, James Brolin as P.W. Herman is a choice. There's a,
Well, it's also like prime for like trivia, and like an ASAT or something, like who played
Yes.
P.W. Herman in the fictional, movie at the end of Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Yeah, it's James Brolin, who, yeah, people forget he's Josh Brolin's dad. So, yeah, and he's still alive, by the way. He's 83 years old, so he's still with us. Yeah, Josh Brolin's dad, James Brolin, who was a big star back in the day. Yeah, Morgan Fairchild was kind of a pretty famous soap opera actress at the time, because she popped up on a bunch of different sitcoms and things. I remember she's on an episode of Home Improvement where Al tries to become a soap opera actor. But yeah, she was kind of around back in the day. And yeah, we get a little bit of that. Him and Dottie kind of reconnected the drive-in theater. That's where she wanted to go, at the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
And yeah, again, they don't like kiss or anything. It's just kind of like she just wanted to go to the drive-in with them, and they
ride their bikes to
they ride their bikes right in front of the projector screen, and that's kind of the end of the movie. So yeah, and again, it's if you're looking for like the greatest plot in the world of this movie or anything like that, everything that makes connective sense, this is not the movie for you. This is, again, like we said, just kind of a series of cartoon sketches, essentially, with kind of a loose sort of road trip, MacGuffin chasing kind of movie. But yeah, it's still a really fun sequence, really fun characters, and a lot of great, set designs and fun character actors throughout the whole thing. And yeah, Paul Reubens, it's just sometimes fun to just watch him interact with these people, and interact with his environment and be goofy and be silly. And yeah, and it's just a good time, and I think he gives a good performance. He knows what he's doing as Pee Wee, he knows how to make it work,
Yes.
and he's got a lot of charisma, and he knows what's up. But and yeah, not a bad outing for Tim Burton. I wouldn't argue it as like one of the greatest debut films of all time or anything like that. I think those kind of go to people like Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs, or that sort of
Jordan
thing.
Peele.
Yeah, Jordan Peele, or like some other people. But yeah, it's still a really solid kind of opening. You see a lot of things that Tim Burton would do in later movies and kind of expand on, especially in Beetlejuice. Like, my God, there's a lot of like the dream sequences, or kind of he would take to another level, and kind of some of the horror sequences of Beetlejuice. Again, the Danny Elfman score of Beetlejuice is very similar to this, but kind of
Stop motion style.
Yeah, the stop motion stuff he would use in this, he would move more and more, the creature effects, the makeup, and things like that. A lot of things he likes to do, the sets and stuff. He would kind of come to fruition and really see his style full force in Beetlejuice. But I think there's a lot of great things here. You can still tell it's a Tim Burton movie, and but yeah, it's still. I mean, I wouldn't say grounded is the right word, because it's still, again, kind of a living cartoon, but it's, not as fantastical. It's just kind of this silly guy. But yeah, we'll kind of just get sort of your overall kind of thoughts on the movie and how it still works today, Brian. Yeah, obviously it's still one of your favorite movies, so you still enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, but it still holds up to this day. It goes by pretty quickly. Like, it's hours 31 minutes, then 91 minutes. Not bad.
Yeah.
And it's a great breezy watch. You could probably rewatch this a few times in a row if you want to.
Yeah, no, it's not bad, and I think it still works for kids as well. I think kids can get into this, especially with the opening with the house and stuff, and they
Yeah.
can, enjoy some of the goofy, silly characters, but adults can still get some of the references throughout the movie as well. But yeah, Malcolm, kind of, would you like? How was your rewatch kind of overall, and how is it just as a movie overall? What do you think on this thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I still enjoy it. I still think it's good. Like, to me, it kind of sort of went down. Like, if I was when I first watched it, I probably would have given it like 4.5 stars or something. But I think after this recent watch, it was a 3.5. So, like, I mean, it's good, but it's probably not. It's just not one of those ones like I'm probably going to watch. It's that I have on like a repeating type. If that makes any sense, but it's still good to watch every now and then. But yeah.
Yeah, no, like I said, and this was one of the ones that, yeah, especially back in the '90s, if it was on cable and I saw it on cable, I'd stop and watch it. Like no matter what point in the movie, I think there's enough sort of, again, those different set pieces throughout the movie that anywhere you kind of jump in on it, you can kind of just jump in and have a good time with it. Wherever you kind of jump in at whatever point in the movie. And yeah, it's a very breezy watch, like you said, Brian. It's 90 minutes. I mean, it's a quick watch. They don't overstay their welcome. I think if this thing had been like 2 hours, I think it'd be too much. They clock it right in at 90 minutes. We get in, we get out, we have a good time. Yeah, again, most of the critics enjoyed it at the time. I did find it a fun fact that Gene Siskel was not a fan of this movie. He gave it 0 stars and put it on his worst of 85 list, which I think is a little harsh. Ebert liked it way more. He didn't have it like in his top 10 or anything, but he said he could see that it would get a following, and he enjoyed it and knew it would kind of develop a fan base over time, and he was right in that. So but yeah, I will say I've not revisited Big Top Pee Wee since like probably the '90s. I don't know how that one
It
holds up
doesn't hold
anymore.
not that fun as
Yeah.
Big Adventure though.
Yeah, I remember it being not as good, but I'm curious to almost go back and rewatch it because it's just been so long. I almost remember nothing about that movie, so I might give that one a rewatch. I know JPO did as well, or he was looking at it, and yeah, I might give that one a watch. And then I think I watched Pee Wee's Big Holiday once when it came out. That's another one I might give a revisit on Netflix. But again, it felt like more of just kind of a throwback sort of cameo fest, sort of retread. I liked it enough, but I don't. That might be another one I rewatch as well. I don't know if you had thoughts on that one as well, Brian. The Big
Yeah,
Holiday movie.
I see Big Holiday twice. It's quite good actually. It's a good little sort of sequel to Big Adventure.
Hmm.
Does this time he goes to New York to visit for John Magniello's birthday party, New York. It's a good little road trip film. Not it's probably my second favorite PV film. Big Top Pee is probably my least favorite of it.
Hmm.
Overall, it's a good little sort of sequel film for him.
Yeah, and like we talked about, I think Pee Wee's Playhouse still holds up as like a kid
Yes.
show. It still works. Yeah, I'll watch clips every now and then of that, and it's still, again, because it's Pee Wee just in this goofy, silly house with all these crazy characters, running in and out of the house, and yeah, the fun little human characters that kind of come in and out, making cartoons and zombie and all this. It's fun.
Yep.
It's a good time for kids. It's very breezy, very easy to watch. Again, very similar to I know I mentioned earlier, but Ernest had a television show also. Hey Ernest, Ernest was very similar. It was a bunch of different kind of wacky sketches and just him kind of goofing around. But yeah, you guys got any other quick thoughts on Pee Wee's Big Adventure? Otherwise, we'll kind of
Yeah,
wrap it up.
like a few years ago, I met actually Paul Reubens at a call a few years ago. Actually, I have a picture with him right over here.
Okay, see if you can get it in front of there. Okay, yeah. No,
Yes,
definitely.
yeah, he's a good person to talk to. I see him twice actually at two different calls. He actually remembered me at the second call I was at.
I got in line for him at a con, I think in Knoxville about 2 or 3 years ago, where I was going to get his autograph, but unfortunately, like the line was just taking way too long, and I don't blame him. I mean, he was sitting there and talking to people and like taking his time. You could tell he was like older, he wasn't like moving as quick and all that. It was literally just a case of like I had to be somewhere else, and I got in his line about an hour and a half or 2 hours before I had to be at that place, and it literally was like bumping up to it, and there was still probably 20 people ahead of me. So I had to bump out of the line and leave. So I didn't get a chance to meet him. I almost did, but I did observe him like signing and stuff, and he seemed like a nice guy. He was talking to everybody and
Yes.
kind of taking time with everybody. So that was good. I don't imagine you've had any interactions with Paul Reubens, Malcolm, at all live. Never been to New Zealand, no.
Well, I mean, he may have been in New Zealand a few times. I don't know. I haven't met him.
Yeah.
But,
No, go ahead.
but yeah, I don't have any sort of final thoughts on big events. But I did do a little bit of research and found that like Paul Reubens had a couple of undeveloped Pee Wee Herman scripts he was planning on
Yeah.
putting. Like one is called the Pee Wee Herman story, which he described as a black comedy about with the plot becoming Pee Wee becoming famous as a singer after making a song and moving to Hollywood, where he does everything wrong and becomes a big jerk.
Okay.
Um, and then the other one is like a family friendly adventure in which which would have basically been Pee Wee's Playhouse, the movie, in which Pee Wee and his Playhouse friends goes on a road trip adventure. And,
wasn't that the one that eventually kind of became Big Holiday? Because I remember reading about that in the early 2010s as well, but it kind of became or morphed into the Big Holiday movie, kind of.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's not much more that I can sort of say that kind of says it. But apparently he did approach Tim Burton with one of the scripts and then talk to Johnny Depp about the possibility of having Johnny Depp play Pee Wee Herman.
Oh,
But Tim Burton was too busy, and Depp said he would have to think about it. So I'm assuming that script would have had to have been the Pee Wee Herman story, because I can't imagine Johnny Depp playing Pee Wee's Playhouse, Pee Wee Herman.
Right, yeah, that would be a little odd. But he did have that Broadway show in the early 2010s, 2011 thing that kind of revived the character and kind of brought him.
The Playhouse as well.
Yeah, Playhouse kind of came back a little bit. There was like Funny or Die sketches. Like he kind of started making more appearances, like we saw on the clip I played at the beginning of the show. You know, like kind of popping up his Pee Wee, popping up his Pee Wee in different places, and that kind of got Netflix to kind of at least give him the go ahead to do the Big Holiday movie. So he at least got to do another one and kind of do that character for a little while, at least.
Yeah.
So at least until he wasn't able to play him anymore. Obviously,
it was kind of fitting that his final film was Pee Wee playing Pee Wee Herman.
Right.
Because he had a few like random guest stars on TV shows. Like he appeared on Star Wars Rebels at one stage, and he was on. I think his final appearance was Bob's Burgers.
Oh yeah, right.
He was also in Arabelle's Raymond that one episode as well.
Yeah. No, he did. I guess he did an episode of What We Do in the Shadows as well. He's kind of popped up here. Yeah, 30 Rock. So I mean, he's continued to make TV and voice actor appearances. But yeah, Pee Wee's Big Holiday was his last actual film. But yeah, it's still fitting because obviously his most famous character, his kind of big legacy. I started watching the other day. Somebody uploaded pretty much all of his appearances he made on David Letterman in the early '80s, like before Big Adventure. It's literally called the Pee Wee Letterman collection or something like that. It's a lot of fun because it's literally just him going on and he's just playing with toys and standing in front of old PSA videos and interacting. It's silly stuff, but a lot of fun, kind of in that Andy Kaufman kind of way. David Letterman liked that kind of stuff. He had Andy Kaufman on a lot. He had Pee Wee on a lot, things like that. So he was a fan of that kind of absurdist kind of humor. But yeah, again, a really good comedic actor who's going to be missed. Obviously we even liked him. Brian, I've talked about little roles in Matilda and Dunstan Checks In. Things where he would just pop up for playing these minor characters, but he always gave it his all. He was always a lot of fun. He was on the Blacklist for a little while as kind of a recurring
Gotham
character
as well.
Yeah, Gotham. Yeah, and yeah, he's just a really solid actor. He seemed like a genuine kind of good dude. So he's going to be missed, and I'm glad we got to kind of reflect on this little tribute to him. So, any other final thoughts, you guys, before we wrap it up on either the movie or Paul Reubens in general?
Love his. Paul Reubens had some good roles as well. In Cheech Chong's next movie, I believe he appeared as the Raider and himself as Pee Wee Herman.
Mm-hmm.
Also, remember him as Captain Rex in Star Tours.
Star Tours, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did a voice in that, right? So, okay.
Yeah,
interesting. Malcolm, any kind of wrap up thoughts on either Paul or the movie at all?
Nope. I think I've said everything I needed to say.
No, it's all good. Well, that's why we just do this hour deep dive, and we're just about at the hour mark, so it seems like a good place to wrap it up. Yeah, perfect timing. But yeah, once again, rest in peace, Paul Reubens. We're gonna miss you, buddy. But you left us a great legacy with a really fun character that gave us a lot of material over the years through the movies and the TV shows and all that. So we certainly appreciate that. Unfortunately, our next Wheel of Movies episode might have to be another tribute episode as well. We don't want to do that because we don't want people to pass away.
Well,
obviously,
the wheel.
It's not fun, but on the wheel, we do have a William Friedkin movie, and William Friedkin, the director, passed away recently. There is a movie of his on the wheel. It is one of mine. So I believe me and Jordan talked behind the scenes. We are going to review on the next Wheel of Movies, whether it's next week or the week after, Sorcerer from 1977, a very underrated movie of William Friedkin's with Roy Scheider. So we're gonna do that on the next wheel, and then I promise we will get back to spinning the wheel. I promise. But hey, we're not cheating. These are all movies that are on the wheel. We just kind of call some
Exactly.
audibles. We call some audibles, pay some tributes to certain people if they pass away and whatnot. But we will get back to it. So yeah, the next one will most likely be Sorcerer from 1977 in honor of William Friedkin. Probably me, Jordan, and somebody else who wants to watch it. And yeah, we'll get back to that. So, but yeah, that'll wrap things up here for this installment of the Wheel of Movies, talking about Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Thank you. Or yeah, we'll get some plugs out of there real quick. Malcolm, what do you got going on Rankum this week?
On Rankum this week, we've got 90s rom-coms. Should be fun. Also, next week, I'm starting a monthly sort of bracket show on Take 3 called Bracketeers. And it's going to be part one of a 3-part series in which we do a bracket with the top 128 movies that have appeared the most times on Rankum, like with 64 in the first part, just like you do letter series and all that jazz.
Oh, yeah.
But you can also find me hosting trivia on Full Metal tomorrow at, I think I set it to 6 p.m. Eastern. You are going to see Jay Burns versus Eric Barber Moreno. It's a very good match. And yeah, but that's pretty much where you can find me. I'll pop up on tournament fights from here. Yeah, I think I'm here next week for country movies.
Yeah, no, I've got that list and that bracket ready to go. Yeah, movies with a country in the title. So, yeah, it'll be stuff from around the world, a lot of America or American movies in there.
Be ready about half for the win.
Yeah, we'll see. Beavis and Butthead will get another chance in that one. I don't know how far it'll get, especially if Malcolm's on that panel. We'll see. But yeah, any quick plugs, Brian, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'll be on the Bracketeer show next week with Malcolm. You'll see some terrific people, Richie, Steven, JP will be there. I appear we hear Necro sometimes. I'm not sure when next will be on, but I think I'm on the Mom and Joe is top 64. I'm not sure yet. And
Okay.
I do trivia on JPO's league, and also speaking of Big Adventure, how have you for Big Adventure on Dan Scabal's website that reviewed?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have that linked on this Rundown Friends and Family group.
Yeah.
Check that out. And yeah, as far as the rest of the stuff on the Movie Hero Network, Friday night we'll be doing our next installment of the Tier Ranker One Word title series. So I've got that tier ready to go for 2010 to 2015. There's a lot of good movies in there, so we'll be talking about that on Friday night. Podcast about movies. 6 o'clock on Saturday night we'll be returning with me and Jacob. We got our next 4-pack of movies. We're starting our anniversary series, so we'll be doing some movies that are celebrating 50th and 45th anniversaries. We got Watership Down, Dawn of the Dead, Serpico, and speaking of William Friedkin, we already had The Exorcist planned. We didn't plan that out. We were already going to talk about the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist, so we'll be kind of talking about William Friedkin on that episode as well. And then Seen and Heard Trivia will return on Sunday night. I will be defending my crown that night in Seen and Heard, so that should be a good time as well. But for anybody that sees this, we thank you for watching Wheel of Movies. Please hit that subscribe button, like button. Check out all of everything we got going on Movie Hero Network at the Schmodown Friends and Family group on Facebook. But for Malcolm, for Brian, we'll wrap this thing up. And I've been Pez, and we'll see you next time.